Hey guys, hi, how are you? How are you? Who's in the house? Who's in the house? Live Your Best Life is here. And I have a very powerful guest tonight. I'm so excited. We have a barrister at law in the house. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me know where you're joining us from. Please invite as many as you can. Share the link with as many as you can. Be a blessing to someone that really, really needs to listen to this topic that we're discussing today. Today, we're going to be talking about the legal things every couple should actually know, preferably before marriage, but then again, after marriage is never too late. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Join us, invite your family, your friends, even those who are not your friends. Someone must be in need of what we're talking about today. I have a very powerful guest in the house. I'm going to read his intro briefly. And again, I think the most important thing you can do for us is to share this link with as many as you can, please. For those who are watching us live, welcome. I see some of you joining. Help me know that you're here. If you can hear us very well, let me know that the sound is good. And if you can see me and the guest, let us know as well. I love that we are one global family. Thank you for joining. Invite as many as you can. We have Barrister Oluwatodimu Upeyemige in the house. Hey, somebody help me drum the roll the drum. He is the principal partner at Oluwatodimu and Ige and Associates, a forward-thinking law firm providing strategic legal solutions in corporate and commercial practice. He's a seasoned legal practitioner, accomplished arbitrator, and skilled negotiator with extensive experience advising on and structuring high-value transactions within Nigeria and across international jurisdiction. Powerful. He's an associate of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, UK, a fellow of the Institute of Debt Recovery, Practitioners of Nigeria, and an associate of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN. His professional influence extends to board-level advisory roles across diverse sectors, including Toddy Domestic Services, Paul Properties, Micron Medical Products Limited, and Jeff Worldwide. Beyond legal practice, is the founder of Oga_the Lawyer, a fast-growing legal education platform with a combined audience of over 200,000 followers. Wow. Through this platform, he simplifies complex legal issues and provides accessible, practical legal knowledge to everyday individuals and businesses. His core areas of practice are real estate and property law, corporate and commercial law, energy law, company law and security, corporate restructuring and insolvency, aviation law. Oluwatodimu is deeply committed to faith, family, and community development. He's married and blessed with children. Wow. Welcome, 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 Barrister. You're very welcome. I'm so happy to have you. Please introduce yourself to our viewers in your own way.
Thank you very much. My name is Oluwatodimu, popularly known as Oga_the Lawyer. I'm a lawyer and I love simplifying things of the law. So that's pretty much about me.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I've brought you to do justice. You're welcome. Pastor D is in the house from Zurich. Nice to have you. Everyone joining live, let's register your presence. Please, let's make it very interactive. Bring your questions, bring your comments. Let's make it lively tonight, as we usually do. And invite as many as you can. I can see some are still slow to join us. Please remind them that we are live. I have some very powerful questions for our guest, and I've talked to him pre this show. And I know that he has very, very powerful way, an interesting way of breaking down the law. Like he said, and I agree, he's my learned colleague, law can be boring, especially if you don't know some of the terms and all of the intricacies of the profession. But I know that we have a very competent person in the house, not because of the actual law part, but because he is married, he has children, he knows what it means to be a family and have family obligations going on. So let's start with definitions, as we usually will do in law. What is a marriage contract? Because most people don't realize that marriage is actually a contract. When they are taken away with the emotional part of love, of falling in love, somehow the seriousness, of the institution of marriage is lost on them until they go deeper, into the contract, what we know to be obligations, where each party has their own obligations to fulfill in the face of the law. So please, could you help us tonight to understand what is a marriage contract?
Well, I want to go by the provisions of the Matrimonial Causes Act, which is what governs marriage in Nigeria. That's the Nigerian jurisdiction, and generally
Mhm.
some other jurisdictions have their own Matrimonial Causes Act.
Acts
Now,
as well.
but
Yes.
yes, for the purpose of this discourse, marriage is the coming together
Mm,
of a man and a woman
mm,
under the act to live together as husband and wife. Please
right.
note that, yes, so that it means that the moment parties decide to come together
Mm,
under the, now there are various ways of instituting a marriage. Number
right.
one, we have the Matrimonial Causes Act. We
Mhm.
also have the traditional marriage. What this means is that regardless of what mode of marriage you decide to go into,
Mhm.
the fact remains that the definition is clear, that is the union of one party to another, and it
Right.
means that it's an agreement. You have an agreement to come together. That
Mhm.
agreement is binding. If it was not going to be binding, you would not have gone through the process of the ceremony. If it was traditional marriages, there's what we call exchange of dowry. There are
Yes.
some religions that say wine carrying, and so many other rigors that go with it.
Yes.
It depends on
Yes.
your tradition. Now, if it's marriage under the act, that's more serious. Why? Because you have to appear before what we call a marriage registrar. This is somebody who is empowered by law to
Mm,
oversee the signing of the contract, which
right.
is the marriage certificate. You will see that
Mhm.
it's signed in triplicates: one copy
Mhm.
for the couple, one copy
Mhm.
for the registry, and
Mhm.
there's one copy for the government, for the use of the government. If it's in the church will retain one copy,
Mhm.
um the government will retain one, and the couple.
Mhm.
So it means that it's a contract that is binding. And
Powerful.
yes, why it's more serious is because parties cannot on their own volition decide that they want to terminate that marriage,
Mm,
because once you have done a marriage under the act, the only authority as of today that can
mm,
dissolve the marriage is the High Court of Nigeria, which means that
mm.
parties cannot decide, I'm tired, I'm no longer interested, you burnt the soup, I'm no longer getting married to you. I don't like the way you greeted my mother. No, that's not how a marriage is dissolved. So it means that it is a very serious contract. People
Right.
don't see it as a contract, but when you have agreed that you are coming together, and anything that warrants you signing any form
Mm,
of document already means that you have submitted yourself to contract. And in contract, we always talk about offer and acceptance. So, and in
acceptance.
this
Yes.
instance, he has proposed. Whoever got down on one knee and proposed, and you have decided that you are going to their family, you met each other, you signed. It means that a valid marriage has been contracted.
Constituted. Yes.
Yes.
Powerful. I love what you said. That is a binding contract. Again, it can only be dissolved, of course, with the constituted authorities. A lot of people don't understand this. When we talk about traditional marriage, is it also the same process? Can you please educate people? Because some people have found or figured out a way of beating the law, right? They say, okay, we're married in the traditional way. I can have 2 or 3 wives. I can just leave you the way I want. What would you say to those who did just the traditional wedding?
Now, well, for traditional marriages, it now depends on your tradition. Now, some tradition will say that the marriage can be dissolved by return of dowry.
Return of dowry, yes.
There are some that say that the marriage can be dissolved if the elders come together and they can resolve it. It means that certain conditions must be met. There are some instances that say that the children of the marriage,
Mm-hmm,
they must be of a particular age. So, it varies from various cultures.
mm-hmm,
you know so it means there are some people say that there are some cultures that says that even if it's a traditional marriage, you cannot marry more than one wife. There are some
mm.
cultures that also say that the woman can even have more than one husband. Yes, so
Really?
people have,
That's
yes,
interesting.
yes, yes. Some people have now looked at it and say, oh yes, a man can marry more than one wife. There are some region that their tradition allows a woman to have more than one husband. So those
That's
are
interesting.
each region has its own dynamics. But
Wow.
the fact is clear that parties are governed by the terms of their contracts. Parties are governed by the terms of their marriage. What this means is that if in a traditional marriage, if it says that you can marry more than one wife, Yes, that's the term of your contract. But under
Yes.
the Matrimonial Causes Act, you cannot marry more than one wife. So you need
Yes.
to examine and understand the culture you are getting into
Right.
before you contract the marriage. Don't forget, before I forget, we also have the Islamic form of marriage,
True.
which
True.
says that you can marry more than one wife. The proviso is that you must be ready to love all the wives
As
accordingly.
equally.
Equally. So you can't be clever by have to say that you want to marry two and you are not treating one well. You have left the other one in the village, one is in the city. That is breaking the tenets of the Holy Quran. So we need to be very careful. And people always want to hide and think that they can break the law, but they are just being clever by half.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. You've done justice to that. So I do have, if you're joining us live, please feel free to drop your comment, your questions for Barrister Todimu. He's going to do justice to it. Again, don't forget to share the link with as many as you want. I always love and enjoy the live watchers. Not to say that those of you who are going to be watching the replay are not welcome. Please, you're welcome. Help us to share as well. Let's spread this word wide and clear to everyone who is interested in the institution of marriage. So you've told us what marriage means in the face of law. You've told us the legal implications. The next question, which is also a very important one to as many as possible, is what are the legal implications of marital infidelity? You've already started talking about that a bit. What are the legal implications of infidelity in marriage?
Well, infidelity must be condemned in all ramifications. And now, I'm not a moral police. It's just we are talking the law here. Now,
Yes.
if you have decided that you are going to have a contract with somebody to be married to them, the moment you step outside the confines of that marriage, whether it's traditional or it is under the act, the moment you step outside that confines, you have already broken the law. Now,
Right.
I will start with the Matrimonial Causes Act. The fact is that when you commit adultery, that's what is marital infidelity, whether it's the man or the woman. It means that you have is number one is a ground that can be relied on to dissolve a marriage. Yes, that marriage can be dissolved. Now, there have been instances wherein people have sued for the dissolution of their marriage and have joined the third party. Who is the third party? That's the adulterous partner. The law allows that. That means that if my wife, they will say, God forbid, if my wife commits adultery and I want to go to court, it means that I can go after the man that she committed adultery with. In the same vein, the woman can go after the woman that committed adultery with her husband. So that's the position of the law. It means that, funny enough, in Nigeria, there are some parts that adultery is not only punishable by the Matrimonial Causes Act by asking for damages. There are some that it is also is a crime. Adultery becomes a crime and is punishable by some lashes of the cane. If you look under the Sharia law, if you commit adultery, it is against your marriage, it is against Islam, and it comes with some punitive actions.
That's powerful. I like the fact that the other party can be liable also. I love that. Most people don't
absolutely know. In law, we say that when there's a breach, there's always a remedy. That means that if you have breached the right of the woman or the man by cheating, it means that there has to be consequences.
I love it. So good, so good. So in this case, I would say each party should then protect themselves before marriage. Which brings me to the next question. What would you advise? Because again, we're talking faith, we're talking love, and a lot of people are against it. I know probably in some jurisdiction is frowned upon. But what would you advise couples then to have a prenuptial contract to try and protect these rights in law? What do you think about prenuptial?
Now, for me, I feel that is an area that needs to be looked into and promoted. Why do I say that?
I love that.
When you handle matrimonial causes matters, that's the solution of marriage. You will see that it can be traumatic. It can be a traumatic experience, even for the lawyer handling the matter, because you will discover that as a result, when parties want to dissolve the marriage, they become so bitter and embittered against one another, and you will see certain instances that this at this point, these couples would even throw everything at each other. I've seen instances wherein one party is denying the other of custody of the children. Somebody has not seen
Ah,
their children for
mhm.
years because there is no
Yes.
prenuptial. Of course, they have to go to court to resolve the issue of custody. There have been
Mm,
instances of properties acquired during the course of the marriage,
mm.
businesses being run by the parties.
Right.
All this will come up. Yes, they fell in love, they got married. Now that brings us to the question of the elephant in the big room, where
Yes.
we need to wake up and smell the coffee and know
Mm.
that our jurisprudence needs to improve. If
Yes.
the essence of any contract is to spell out the terms and conditions of the contract, is to
Yes.
spell out the obligations of parties. In
Parties.
contracts,
Yes.
we also have what we call an exit clause that
Yes.
says that, oh, if I'm going, or a termination clause, if I'm going to
Termination.
be
Yeah.
leaving this contract, it's not as if I want to leave the contract, but we need
Yes.
to. Why do we make our will? We know
Yes.
that one day we will
We will
die.
exit.
Yeah, everybody will die. So whether
Yes.
we now say, oh no, God forbid. Some people in times past say, God forbid, I don't want to die, and their estates now become subject to
Yes.
the administration, the state taxes and all that. So now
Yes.
people have started taking steps by doing trust, by having a will. Now
Yes.
going to the issue of marriage, it means that
Mm.
if parties foresee, it's not mandatory that you use the prenuptial, but it's better, it's safer that you have this contract when parties can decide on, oh, how do we do if there's going to be if in the event that there's disagreement, how do we resolve the issue of custody of the children? How do we
Mm.
resolve the issue of property? How do
Yes.
we resolve the issue of access to children? How do
Yes. Oh,
I
yeah.
don't see any big deal. I don't. I would encourage that parties can have these conversations, and if
Yes.
possible, develop them into a contract. And then
Mm.
there would also be a clause that parties must make every effort to resolve the impasse before
Yes.
they decide to implement the contents of the agreement. So that a contract spells out for me. Probably because I'm a lawyer, I always believe that every issue should be discussed. There is nothing that should
Yes.
not be put on the table. The
Yes.
better,
Yes.
it's when people want to lie to each other and they begin to bring in sentiments.
Uh-huh.
I believe that we should have those hard conversations and
Yes.
document them. It
Yes.
saves a lot of headache in the long run.
I agree with you. I agree with you. So you are saying virtually when we're talking about prenuptial, there's really nothing that should not be discussed or provided for actually in that contract. I know it's still very gray in Nigeria. It's an area of matrimonial law that I'm not sure is
Yeah,
fully
so it's for now in
effective.
Nigeria, it's not legally, of course, it's not legally recognized
Yes.
by the Matrimonial Causes Act. But be
Yes.
that as it may, it's a contract, and parties,
Yes.
once you have agreed, he
Yes.
didn't say that you cannot do a prenuptial, but if you do
Exactly.
it, it means that
Yeah.
parties are bound by the terms of their contract.
Of the
And
contract.
further
Yeah.
on that, when the marriage is to be dissolved, there's what we usually have what we call a compulsory conference. What
True.
was that compulsory conference about? Couples will come together and
Mhm.
decide on how to share properties, if any, how talk about custody and
Custody. Yeah.
maintenance of the children. Now,
True.
when this is done during the
Mm.
compulsory conference,
Mm.
we now do a report of the compulsory conference that will be
Yes.
submitted to the court, and the court will adopt same in its judgment. For me,
Yeah.
if we will do this at the point of dissolving the marriage, there is nothing stopping parties from having a prenuptial that already spells out these terms, and it makes it easier to adopt at the point of dissolution of the marriage.
I
If
fully
it
agree.
happens.
I fully agree because the horror of divorce. I mean, I've been a marriage counselor for years. And what I have noticed is that, like you rightly said, God forbid, yes, nobody wants divorce to happen. I don't honestly think, with a few exceptions, of course, there's always an exception to the rule. But I don't genuinely believe that anybody would go into marriage wanting to divorce, right? But it happens,
Absolutely.
just like you rightly
Yes, it does.
described and compared with death. It is now known, especially in modern times, to be much more common than staying together forever, right? Unfortunately, it shouldn't be like that, but it is like that. And the horror I've noticed is that people really had no idea. One, which is why we threw that question at you, that marriage is a contract. And if you're already contracting on that level, you can as well think about every other thing you want to protect, which includes if children comes, how do we raise them? I believe all of these things. People behave, I think, people behave more consciously.
When there's a contract and there's a guideline, yes.
Right? That's what I said, that everybody, if you sign to something, and I think the best time, okay, so let's talk about the premarital stages. What, apart from prenuptial, what would be your advice as a lawyer? What would be the one thing that you think couples should know? Because that's the title, the topic we're talking about. The legal things every couple should know, preferably before they say I do. What is the one thing they should know? I already know mine, but I would like to hear from you. How would you advise a young couple that you know are getting married soon? What would you tell them about how to protect themselves, about how to ensure that each other's rights are covered and protected in law?
Well, a few things tick the box for me. Number one is that whoever you're getting married to, you need to, of course, even at the point of the marriage, that's if it's a marriage under the act, the registry would ask the couple to depose to what we call an affidavit of bachelorhood or spinsterhood. What that means is that an affidavit stating that I've never been married.
Yes.
I don't have anyone anywhere that I've gone to, conduct marriage ceremonies. Why?
Yes.
Contract marriage. Why? This is important because the marriage under the act is very clear as to the fact that one man, one wife.
Right.
Now, this also protects you from any extraneous issues coming up. Somebody says, "Oh, it's my husband." We are now fighting who exactly is the wife. And we have had these instances. There's one quite unfortunate that currently happened. It happens sometimes last month or 2 months in Nigeria. They've been in court. A very popular person. What happened was that he was married to a woman under the act, and they did not dissolve the marriage. The woman left the house. And very wealthy man. He got married to a former beauty queen under using the traditional marriage of that lady. They did the wine carrying and everything. Now the man is late. The woman that was married to him under the act sued him. The traditional wife sued and said that the first wife was not entitled to anything. Unfortunately for her, she was one that went to court. But the court ruled in the favor of the first wife that this is a marriage that was contracted under the act.
Wow. I think I know
regardless of the fact that you have been staying with her for 30 years, we're staying with the man for 30 years, is all down the drain. So they can now have to sit down and discuss on how they want to share the property. So that shouldn't be you. Before you get married to anybody, ensure that that person has never been married. If he has been married, ensure that the prior existing marriage has been dissolved. How do you know this? Request for documentation. There's what we call a decree nisi that has become absolute. That's the order of court, dissolving the marriage.
Yes.
Number two, before you get married to anybody, many people, I've had instances, people will reach out to me and say that I want to dissolve my marriage. Why? They said we were doing it because UK was giving us admission. They said that I need to come with a dependent. And they now decided, let's just go and say, this is just registry. We pay 50,000 or 100,000, we get it done. No, that is not. What is easy to conduct the marriage in your view. You go there, you sit before the registrar and sign documents. Then before you can exit the marriage, you need to dissolve the marriage under the act. And that's why many people have been stuck. And don't forget that you are in certain climes, any documentation that if you submit a marriage certificate attesting to affirming the fact that you are married, the only way that you can tell the system or tell the government or tell the immigration or tell the or the consular that prove to them that you are no longer married is by presenting a divorce certificate or the other nicer and absolute saying that you are no longer married. So it means that before you contract that marriage, and also the Matrimonial Causes Act also founds that what we call connivance.
Right.
Which is, you are saying that you are getting married for the purpose of, not for the purpose of marriage, but because of certain benefits. It's a crime.
Yes.
So couples need to understand that. Number three is that now, when failure to consummate the marriage can lead to dissolution of marriage.
Right.
Parties need to be very clear. Have that discussion. Are we getting married? What's the purpose of getting married? Not that I don't want to have sex. I don't want to have children. you need to
You-
have that conversation before you get
Yes.
into the marriage, because these are
Yes.
provisions of the law. They are not necessarily spiritual obligations, but they are obligations that
Yes.
are provided for in the act.
Yes.
These days, we have been having marriages that have been broken up as a result of cruelty. You see how it's both parties. It's not necessarily the man or the woman. You have seen
Yes.
instances where the man is behaving like an animal being, not human being,
Yes.
because
Yes.
the way they treat the woman, and not the other way around. So you need to be sure. Ask these questions about your partner. Know them. Ask the tough questions.
Mm.
If you are hungry, how do you react? Because
I love that.
you need to understand that marriages are broken up as a result of domestic violence. It's so
Yes.
bad that Lagos State
Yes.
has what we call a domestic and sexual violence agency. If it was not that serious, I don't think that agency will be created. And funny enough, unfortunately, that agency is always overwhelmed
With
with
cases.
phone
Wow.
calls, with cases as a result of this. So what does this mean? You need to be able to you need to understand the fact that whoever you are getting married to, yes, it's marriage under the act. I always advise that people do a marriage under the act. That's another point that I want to.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
marriage under the act, because like you earlier, you mentioned that briefly, that when people understand that there's a contract, they tend to toe the line. That's what the
Right.
matrimonial clauses, marriages under the matrimonial clauses act does.
Yes.
It protects you. Why?
Yes.
We have seen instances where somebody dies and the family members have come and said they want to take over the property. From where?
That one.
You can't
Yes.
come and take over the property.
Yes.
If it's
Yes.
a marriage under the act, you cannot do
Yes.
that.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, if the person dies intestate, that's without a will.
Yes.
What the law provides for is that that's going by the administration of estate law. It says
Yes.
that the estate of that person will devolve to the wife. That's
Yes.
marriage under the act. The
Yes.
wife, if the wife is not in existence, the children.
Yes. The
If
children.
the children are not of age or they are not in existence, it now goes to the siblings. After that, it goes to his parents.
Yes.
His or her parents.
Powerful.
So what this means is that if you have a marriage under the act, you are protected.
Mm.
It means
Powerful.
that it means that nobody can just come in and say that is my brother. Your brother, so what? He already has his own marriage. He has a life of his own. That means that they are governed by the act. So those are
Right.
the areas that you need to identify. Why do you, and don't forget, if you are somebody that doesn't want a polygamous home, marriage under the act is the way to go. Because
Powerful.
marriage under the act encourages, or not even encourages, is the position of the law that you cannot have more than one wife or husband. It's one man, one wife, one husband. So that's
I love
what
it.
that's what the Matrimonial Causes Act provides for. It means that if you are not polygamous in nature, or you don't want polygamy, you should go that route. For those who want to marry as many wives as possible, then you know the options that are available to you. The traditional marriage, and if you're a Muslim, you can explore that option. But you must also note the condition precedent, which says that you must love them all together equally. If you can do that.
If you can do that, I love that. Now that you've started this line, I'll ask one more question, then we'll take from, I can see that we're being barraged now with questions online. What is bigamy? Most people are so ignorant of this. I would like you to please educate people.
Well,
on
now,
the very serious offense of bigamy.
Yes, it is. Bigamy is when you are married to more than one person. When you are married under the act, and you go and contract another marriage with another person, it becomes, getting married to more than one person is a crime.
Yes.
Yeah, and sometimes it's punishable with a minimum of 2 years imprisonment.
And I think up to 7 years in some jurisdictions.
Yes.
Depending on
that's what I said, minimum of 2 years. Yes.
Guys, especially guys, I hardly hear women being guilty of this. I'm not saying it's not possible, but I've heard a lot of cases of guys doing that, and it's very sad.
I want to agree with you. Most times is the men. Some will just think that, I can leave my home, pack my bag. Yeah, and we have had instances of people having multiple marriages, having one wife in Lagos, another one in Sokoto, in Kano, in London, in France.
In London, in America.
Yeah, regardless of that jurisdiction, you have broken the law. And anywhere you are caught, you will face the law.
Yes, you will face the law. Okay, so let me take from some of the questions online. We have a lot. We'll probably only be able to answer a couple of them. One says, a husband tells his wife, everything I own belongs to my family, not you. Is that legally accurate? I'm going to highlight it so that you can see.
Okay,
From
everything
Ibrahim.
I own belongs to my wife, not you. To my family. Now, what does it mean by everything that he owns belongs to his family? Well,
I don't know if you're just sorry to break into you. Okay. A couple of years ago, I forgot the name of the footballer who all that he has.
He bought things in his mother's name.
Exactly. Please, let's talk about this. How is that legal?
Well, it's an interesting dimension. You know, when a man is alive or a woman is alive,
yes,
it is within your rights to buy your properties or acquire your property as you deem fit.
Okay.
The man says, oh, everything I own belongs to my family. Well, he's within his right. He needs to take steps. How? By doing his will. If there's a will that says that I'm leaving my property to my father, my mother, my siblings, no problem about that. But the moment he dies, without, even if he says he shouts it to the rooftop, he sits down in front of a video and say, when I die, my car, my house in Banana Island should be given to my mother, should be given to my father. If there's no will, that exercise was done in futility. The administration of estate law would ensure that his family, when I mean family, his immediate family,
his immediate family, and children
are the ones who benefit from the estate.
I love it. I love it.
As a matter of fact, we have even seen instances that, there have been instances that people have challenged the will of somebody to say that, no, while this guy was alive, I labored, I suffered. He cannot just decide to take everything and go and dash it to charity and to the family. And the court has held that, no, this man did it in cruelty. We cannot allow that to subsist.
Powerful, powerful. I love that. I love that. So again, this is really an advocacy for civil marriages, right? I really agree with you a million times that it's always better when you do your marriage under the Matrimonial Cause Act or whatever the jurisdiction you're living in. Make sure your marriage is legal, signed, sealed, you know, and approved by the state and the law of wherever jurisdiction you're in. Ladies especially, please hear this. There was one thing I wanted to ask, I wanted to point out rather, that don't you think, I think you will agree with me from what you've discussed already, that people should really spend the courtship stage in questioning and getting to know the other person really on a very intellectual level. My argument is that most times when we want to employ someone, for those of us who are privileged to run businesses, you know, you actually go through the process of interviewing them. You may even use a headhunter. You do all of that due diligence to ensure that there's a proper alignment of your need with who you're bringing in as a staff. I always argue that marriage should be approached also like that. It's like you're interviewing someone for the job of being your companion. They are going to see your nakedness when you're asleep. They're going to be there. How can you just flippantly make that decision on a whim of they're killing me softly? Or I just feel butterflies in my stomach when I'm around them. Why can't you just sit down and spend that time of courtship to do the due diligence? I believe we cannot shout this enough. What do you think? I would like to ask you from a legal point of view. Do you think that's a fair
it's a very fair it's a very fair submission. You know, I'll give you a few examples, you know, for want of time. We are currently in court to dissolve a marriage. You know, the client reached out to us. Do you know what happened when they got married? The guy is a compulsive gambler.
Oh.
It's so bad that the woman traveled from Ibadan to Lagos for something. Before she got back, the man had used the generator for the house, the furniture to gamble. You know, it's that bad. They were planning for the burial of one of the relatives. They put it in the wife's name. She forgot ATM at home. The husband knew the PIN, used it to gamble. Now imagine this gambling did not start that day. And that, of course, the marriage has ended because they did not have these conversations. We have had instances, I know of a matter, that this man lost the company that he labored many years for, a production company, very big company. He lost it because his wife was a philanderer. She was using money. Yeah, you know, she was just spending money that was coming in. Unfortunately, he formed a company with her and made her a director, a signatory to the account. He didn't know that things were bad until bank said that you guys are owing us a lot. The woman has absconded. is the one facing the police matters. Today,
Wow.
EFCC, tomorrow, Special Fraud Unit. What
Wow.
this means is to buttress your point, to say that you are going to be spending the rest of your life. You want to recruit an house help. You want to get a
Yes.
driver. You spend
Yes.
time to answer cogent questions. Do you have a
Yes.
driver's license? What is your driving experience? And this is
Yes.
somebody you want to marry. You need to
Yes.
ensure that your goals align.
Right.
Your
Right.
goals align. There are some
Powerful.
people. You are married to a drug dealer. You are
Mm.
married to somebody who is a fraudster.
Yes.
When the police or the authorities come to raid your home, don't forget that
Yes.
you will both be raided, because they want
That's
to
true.
believe that you are a conspirator.
Accomplice.
You knew
Yes.
that, yeah, you are an accomplice. You knew that this person was committing this fraud. So we need
Powerful.
to be very careful when we are going to be getting married. You need to ask those questions. You know, thankfully there are so many platforms that provide certain questions that you can throw at them. You know, it doesn't
Yes.
have to be all formal, but it is important. I'm not saying that you should not fall in love, because the butterflies you feel in your tummy might end up hurting you if you
Yes.
don't do the right thing. And
Yes.
if you don't do the right thing, you will crash land. It's so sad and terrible. You know, if you look at these days, we now have marriages that don't last 1 year.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's why the matrimonial constitution say that parties must first be separated for 2 years. Now we
Yes.
have gone to the step of bringing applications to the court to please abridge
Yes.
time. The court will now ask,
Yes.
what's the urgency? Did they not see themselves before they got married?
Exactly.
Court has even
Exactly.
referred people to counseling
Exactly.
as a result of this fact. So we need to
Yes.
not
Yes.
rush
Yes.
into marriage. Ensure that you dot your I's and cross your T's.
Mm. Powerful. Wow. Powerful. I mean, that's my position always.
Sorry,
That,
before I forget, you will now
yes,
see
please.
even the Child Rights Act. Child Rights Act. From marriage you have children.
Yes.
Also talks about why will you be bringing children that are not
Thank
that are
you.
of the SS blood group? Why did
Thank
you
you.
not do the Why did you not do the
Do the
necessary
test.
check?
Yes.
Do the test before getting married. So
Yes.
now you have brought in a child into the world to come and suffer because
Yes.
you did not do what you ought to have done.
The due
And
diligence.
so those are the areas that we need to really
Thank
examine.
God. I just needed you to also lend your voice to that. Again, I will emphasize, please don't get married on a whim or falling in love, because it's been scientifically proven that the hormone in charge of being in love, the highest time it's been very consistently so, it was 18 months. And this was the case of out of, I think, about 1,000 tests that they did, 2 couples, right? Majority of the people 1 month later falling in love flies out of the window because real life comes. So I tell people, you may fall in love, but please with your eyes open, right? Because at the end of the day, you're going to be living with the reality that you didn't want to face premaritally. Thank you so much, Barrister, for that powerful submission rather. Another question, can a spouse legally take the children away from the other parent after separation?
Well, when it comes to the issue of custody, the provision of the law is that custody will lie in the mother pending the time that is resolved by the court. The only circumstance that the custody will not resolve in the mother is when she's given to alcoholism or drugs, or she's irresponsible, and you have to prove that to the court. That doesn't mean that the mother would deny the father access. No. The father and the mother both came together to give birth to the child. It is only proper and appropriate under the provisions of the law that whoever has custody shares their custody with the other partner.
Right.
It is only in circumstances where the person is irresponsible, cannot cater for the children, all those facts. But children are not weapons of war.
Please say that loud.
Yeah, children are not weapons of war. Parties must be reasonable. You must be reasonable.
I agree with you. Thank you. I'm just going to be throwing the questions fast because of time. I know your time. A couple gets married without discussing finances. I believe you've talked about this. One partner later discovers that the other has enormous debt. What can they do?
Well, for me, the person that incurred the debt actually has to be the one to sort out the debt. But because it's not a partnership, you can decide to assist that person. That's the couple. And for me, at this point, you should have a sit down and discuss. This is identify the debt. This
Yes.
is how much that we are owing. It must not increase.
Yes.
So
I love
anything
that.
outside this might lead to more issues. This is how we intend to do it. I'll be contributing 20% of my income. You will be
Oh, I
bringing
love that.
80% so that we can
Mhm.
resolve it. It's always better. Don't shy away from it. Don't sweep it under the carpet.
Right.
Sit down and have these conversations.
Right.
That way you can resolve issues. You can't run away from it. It will come back to
That's
haunt you.
true. That's true. And is the innocent party liable legally, really, strictly?
Well, no, innocent party. You went to get debts. When I'm not there, what's my business? You are the only way it can affect you is, let's imagine that I have a house. I own a house,
Yeah.
and my wife got married to me on the basis of the fact that it's our comfort zone, and I went to
Yeah.
borrow money. And now the
Yes.
bank has come to take over the house, and they are sending. They want to send us out of the home. That way it affects the part. It affects the wife. It affects
Yes.
the children. So those are
Yes.
areas that we need to. That's why you must ask those questions before you
Ask
get
those
married.
pertinent questions. Exactly.
Yes,
Another
and the husband
question
must
from.
always carry the wife along. Don't be a Superman. Let them know,
Thank you.
because when the chips are down, they will be the ones to face
To suffer.
the
Yes.
buffer. Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. Women, don't shy away from asking questions. If I contribute money to building a house, but the property is in my spouse's name, what happens if we separate? I mean,
This is a serious matter.
yes.
It happens a lot. I
Yes.
don't understand why. In fact, I wish I could slap some women. Why would for me? Why would you buy a property?
In a man's name.
Exactly. What happened to your name? The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is very clear that women can own properties.
Properties, yes.
Yeah.
And around
So
the world
please, going forward, if you are going to be contributing, there's a place they will put Mr. Todi Muige and Mrs. Temitope Ige. They are the
Yes.
owners of the property. You have a
Yes.
name. So please ensure that if you are contributing anything, even if it's not significant,
Yes.
you must ensure that your name is on it. Now, away from that, there's what we call properties acquired in the course of the marriage. In that instance, when the parties separate, if it was shown that the man told the woman not to go to not to work, she contributed by taking care of the home front, by taking
Yes.
care of the feeding, and the man was pouring the resources to build the house. The court will look into it, and in most times ask that the property be divided in two. That's 50-50, so that both parties can walk away with something.
I love that. I love that. I'll throw 2-3 more questions and then we are done, because there's a lot. Does cheating give the innocent spouse automatic rights to the other person's property?
No, cheating does not give automatic right. Well, it now depends on, it depends on the jurisdiction. When a
Right.
marriage is being dissolved in Nigeria, if you are in Nigeria, it does not give you automatic right to the property. What it only allows you, it enables you to proceed to court to dissolve the marriage.
Wow, that's powerful, because in some jurisdictions, yes, you can lose
anything.
anything.
Yes, immediately you do that. In some jurisdictions, you won't even get that, because you have lost a substantial part of your estate. If that happens.
I think this next one is already what we answered with the prenuptial. What do you think? Can a couple make an agreement before marriage about what happens to their property if they divorce?
Absolutely. That's what we call the prenuptial. It's a contract
Yes.
that spells out the terms of the dissolution of the marriage and how parties want life to be after that.
Yes, thank you so much for that answer. A wife lives an abusive marriage with her children, and her husband threatens to take the children away. What should she know?
Well, for me, what the law provides for is that if you have left an abusive marriage, if you can actually proceed to court to defend, to institute an action against the abusive man. But if you don't want to even look at the crime of the abuse, when it comes to custody of children, like I've reiterated severally, the court allows you to, the custody of the children lies in the mother until the court decides otherwise. And further to that, it means that not just living, the father has a right, has an obligation rather, to provide for the children. He must give them monthly upkeep. In some instances, the court has even said that he should rent an apartment for them, a conducive apartment, pay the school fees of the children, and pay maintenance, even for the wife.
Powerful. Powerful. I love that. Does cheating, okay, I think we answered this question before. If a couple gets married, this is the last, thank you guys. If a couple gets married traditionally, but not legally, what rights does each person have? That's dicey.
Well, for if the marriage was conducted traditionally, the tradition of that person will govern the dissolution of the marriage. There are some instances that when a man dies, the wife does not own any property. It's the first son
Yes.
that will own the matrimonial home. So the
Yes.
tradition will govern how the estate will be run. But if it was a match, if it was marriage, that's why I always advocate for marriage under the act. That protects you more. But
Yes.
if you do anything tradition, you have to rely on the tradition,
On the tradition,
of where
wow.
you conducted that marriage.
Wow. Yeah. Now I see. I think that's definitely where all of these horror stories we hear about widows who are chased out of the home.
Yes,
and all
they
of that.
scrape their hair and all those things. Yes,
That's so sad.
most of those people are enabled by the tradition of where they come from.
That's so sad. That's so sad. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Let's thank Barrister. Let's thank him. Help me write in the comment that thank you, so that he'll come back. You can see he's loaded. We need him more. We need you to come back more. Thank you so much. What closing word do you have as we round up today's edition? Thank you so much. It's been very real.
Thank you for having me. I would always advise people that you cannot shy away from the law. Always stay on the right side of the law.
Yes.
Whatever happens, sit down and have these conversations, because at the end of the day, I know from Madam, you are a marriage counselor. The headache that many people bring to you could have been avoided. They see the red flags. Yes, there are avoidable issues. There are avoidable issues. This man has a temper problem. While you were dating, he beat you up. Now you are running to me as a lawyer to help you institute action for domestic violence. But you saw that coming. You saw this guy, every time he borrows money from you, he doesn't pay. Now you are saying that anytime you leave your own pay, he takes money out of it. That's what is going to end the marriage. So we need to be true to ourselves, protect ourselves under the law. No sentiments. Protect yourself. Why would you buy a property in the name of your man when you have a name? Yes, you trust him, but daddy, please let me use it. Let me use. If he's actually a good man, you are buying a property. Buy it in your name now.
Exactly.
You wouldn't say put it in my name. Why?
My name.
So for me, those are the issues that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We can interview you all day long, but I want you guys to please put it in the comment section. Tell him thank you, Barrister. We want to see you again. Thank you, Oga Lawyer. I can see some people. Write as much as you can. Thank you. Help me thank him. Thank you so much, Barrister Todimu. It was really, really real. I like that when our guests come and they keep it real. You've made it very interesting. You're one of the few lawyers who add zest to what they do. And I'm talking as a colleague. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you again next time. I'm trusting that he will join us again to talk about deeper questions of law as it applies to marriage, and not just marriage, relationship in general. Maybe we're going to bring you to talk about corporate matters as well. Workplace bullying. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Love you guys, and see us.